The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 609. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 609, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to state government, the first engrossment.
I call on the member from Hennepin, Representative Bonner, to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I do have an amendment, the A210170.
There's an amendment. There's an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Bonner moves to amend House File number 609, the first engrossment. The amendment is coded A21-0170.
Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. The A21-170 author's amendment adds some minor clarifying language recommended by Council. I have graciously accepted the Council's recommendation, which will allow that language to mirror that of Senator Curran's Senate File 353 and allow the House and Senate versions to be consistent. Members, I ask for a green vote.
Any discussion to the Bonner amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 609, as amended.
Third reading as amended. Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Primarily, House File 609 is a technical corrections bill for the statute in Section 16E, the statute which establishes MINIT, or Minnesota IT Services. The bill addresses recommendations made by the Office of the Legislative Auditor. It incorporates recommendations from the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on IT, of which I am a member, as well as my colleagues Representative Nash and Representative Elkins, as well as Senators Wickland and Curran, who serves as the bill's author in the other body. The bill has no fiscal cost, and it shares bipartisan support in the Senate and here in the House. I'll briefly outline the changes in the bill at a high level. While I realize that not all of the members of the chamber here today share my exuberance for technology scope and roles and responsibility, I will briefly outline them here, excuse me. The first thing that the bill does is it changes the legal name of MINIT from the office to a department, consistent with departments that report directly to the executive branch. The new legal name change from Office of MINIT Services to Department of Minnesota Internet Technology Services. It strikes obsolete and outdated language that is outside of the scope and mission of MINIT. It solidifies the roles and responsibilities of MINIT as a provider of technology services to the executive branch. It makes minor changes in project registration and reporting requirements that add more comprehensive, well-rounded view of a full IT project portfolio while adding greater transparency. The last change of note is that it also includes in the bill a provision that would merge the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on IT with the existing TAC, or to change into the Technical Advisory Council, the new statutory advisory body setting in statute as the Permanent Advisory Council for Information Services and Advice to the state legislature. Madam Speaker and members, I urge a green vote on this bipartisan legislation.
The member from Carver, Representative Nash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do support this bill. This is the culmination of a lot of work of the Blue Ribbon Council and has been vetted by both the Republican and Democrat members of the Blue Ribbon Council, in addition to the very many members of the private sector and the folks from MINIT. So I do support this and encourage my colleagues to do as well.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Elkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to echo the comments of Representatives Bonner and Nash. This has been one of the most highly effective task forces that I have ever served with. And the changes in the form to change the technology committee to basically adopt the form in which the Blue Ribbon Council has been operating with a mix of both public and private sector officials will continue the effective work of this group. Thank you.
The member from Wright, Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I am wondering if the author of the bill would yield for a quick question.
She will yield. Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative Bonner, my question is, in the verbiage change from office to department, and hence, as I'm reading it here, it's included in the list of departments of the state, does that mean then that the present organization of the office will have a commissioner if this were to pass into law when it is then a department?
Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Representative Lucero. Actually, it is actually a department, while not legally so, according to statute, and does in fact have a commissioner, Commissioner Tarek Tomes. That would not change under this new provision.
Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And just one more question then, if she would yield.
She will yield. Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And so, okay, so if the present leader in the current office has the title of commissioner, could you clarify if legally that the existing title would maintain of commissioner, but then would the authority of that lead person with the present title of commissioner change in its scope or authority in any capacity?
Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Representative Lucero. This bill does in no way change the scope or the roles and responsibilities of the Commissioner of Minute.
Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I won't ask any more questions, but I'm not entirely satisfied with the answer. And again, it's just a question for my own understanding. If having a department listed among the other departments, such as the Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Corrections, et cetera, if this in any way changes legally the definition of commissioner, does, for example, and I'm asking rhetorically now, would the commissioner presently, the person with that title, not having to be confirmed by the Senate, with being added to this list, if this bill were to become law, does that commissioner now have to be confirmed by the Senate? And again, I'm haven't got the answer, but I won't ask to yield again. Just curious if that changes at all. But I appreciate this, Madam Speaker, and the bill author.
The member from Hennepin, the author of the bill, Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, members. Just to reiterate that this bill does in no way change the roles and responsibilities or the reporting requirements of the commissioner. With that said, I just want to say a brief note of gratitude for all of the members of the Blue Ribbon Commission, as well as the legislative auditor for all of their hard work. I want to thank the private sector members of the Blue Ribbon Commissions. We have CIOs and high-level officers of each of these private companies that carefully review and vet some of the legislation that comes out of that committee. We also have been blessed to have members of the county, members of agency heads, and of course legislators from both sides of the aisle who work extremely collaboratively on this bill. I'm very proud to put forward this bipartisan legislation and proud of the work that we have accomplished. And with that, I would ask the members to vote green.
The clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members voting remotely, please vote. Will the clerk please call the names of those who have not voted yet?
Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Berg.
Berg, aye.
Berg, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Davids.
Davids, no.
Davids, no. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Grossel.
Russell, no.
Grossel, no. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, no.
Gruenhagen, no. Hamilton.
Hamilton, no.
Hamilton, no. Hanson, R.
Hanson, R, aye.
Hanson, R, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Houseman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, no.
Heinrich, no. Hewitt. Hewitt, aye. Igo.
I go now.
Igo, no. Lislegard.
Lislet, aye.
Lislegard, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald. McDonald. Morrison.
McDonald, nay.
McDonald, no. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson, N.
Nelson, and aye.
Nelson, N, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Ryer.
Pryor, aye.
Ryer, aye. Thompson.
Thompson, aye.
Thompson, aye. Wogamot. Wogamot, aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 100 ayes and 32 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to.